Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We're going to get started with our brief program here. So thank you all so much for joining us out here in Stony Brook to commemorate the inaugural of Neighborhood Slow Streets program. The Go Boston 2030 action plan identifies as a goal prioritizing safety improvements on our streets. And a product of Go Boston 2030 is the Neighborhood Slow Streets program. This works by identifying locations within the city where we work with neighborhood groups where the goal is to slow the speed. And that seems like it's very simple, but we do that through visual placements of physical cues that really cue the traffic and the motorists to slow traffic down. We were fortunate last year in January where the mayor announced that we were lowering the default speed limit in the city of Boston to 25 miles per hour. And that really was probably the most important thing we could do to affect safety in our neighborhoods. So today we're cutting the ribbon on the Stony Brook area, and that marks a milestone in achieving our mission of fully implementing our project through Go Boston 2030. Stony Brook and Jamaica Plain and the Talbot-Norfolk Triangle of Dorchester are our two pilot locations. And one of the compelling reasons why these neighborhoods were chosen was because of the robust neighborhood involvement that we had. Great neighborhood groups, great participation from the community here that worked with us really from the start to identify what's their vision for this street, what's their vision for this neighborhood, and how can we work together to make it happen. So they embraced Neighborhood Slow Streets, they embraced the Transportation Department and the Public Works Department and our engineers coming in, working with us through the entire planning and implementation phases of this project. And today, we're also so thrilled to announce that we began construction on the second project in our Neighborhood Slow Streets program, the Talbot-Norfolk Triangle. So that began today. So with design work completed on the pilot programs and working with our colleagues in the Public Works Department, we've taken over to put the designs into the ground. BTD recently kicked off the community process for Neighborhood Slow Streets, and we've completed 5 neighborhood walks, which would be the additional 5 neighborhood programs for the next coming year. They are Chinatown, Grove Hall, Quincy Corridor in Dorchester, in Roxbury, Highland Park in Roxbury, Mount Hope in Canterbury and Roslindale, and the West of Washington Coalition in Dorchester. And we're really grateful for those neighborhood groups and for their participation here. But today it's about Jamaica Plain, and today it's about Stony Brook, and today it's about celebrating the achievements of the community out here. And what I'd like to do now is to introduce the man who's really made all of this possible. He's given us a strong mandate to make our streets safer, to make our neighborhoods more inviting, and he's given us the tools and the support that we need to get that job done. He's made it clear from the start that transportation and safety is a priority for us. Last year, he put an additional $1 million into our budget for Vision Zero, bringing that total to $4 million. But he's also made it clear to all of us that the entire resources of the Transportation Department support the mission and the goal of making our streets safer, supporting Vision Zero, and getting Go Boston 2030 off the ground. So I'd like to introduce your mayor, Mayor Martin J. Walsh.
I'll bring you up right after, right? Thank you, Commissioner, and I want to thank you for your great work. I want to thank Chief Osgood as well for your great work in the team at Transportation. Danielle Cerny, thank you as well, steering committee member who's with us today. Thank you for all that you have done, and I want to thank the neighbors and the residences that are here. And the stakeholders for this community process. I'm laughing because every single car that's driving down here is a slow driver today. I'm waiting for that kind of one that's, oh God, what's going on? But I want to thank all of you in this process. I want to thank the young guys and girls here today as well, because we have to make sure that our streets are safe for them as well, and make sure that we slow our cars down on our streets for their future as well. So thank you for being here today. We're joined by 2 city councilors. Matt O'Malley, we're in his district. I want to thank Councilor O'Malley. And Anissa Sabi George, citywide councilor. Thank you, councilor. I get a lot of the credit for reducing the speed limit, but actually the city council did it. It was a bill that they filed and they passed in this council, and we worked collectively to get that through the legislature up at the State House, and we're able to pass that legislation through there to slow our streets down in our city of Boston, which is a great thing that we've done. Gina talked a lot about Go Boston 2030 and what we've done. We started the process in 2014. I think we had over 6,000 Bostonians part of the conversation around traffic in the city of Boston and how to slow traffic down, how to move traffic, how to get traffic off the streets. We had all kinds of conversations, and we're going to keep those conversations going because it is about the future. And I know that probably about half of us that are here today arrived by car. Probably about, well, maybe a little more than about half and half rode bikes or walked here. So when you actually probably less than that took cars. So it's important. That's our transportation in the city of Boston, and we have to think about how do we continue that great transportation systems in our city, whether it's by cars or by walking or by bicycles. It's something that we have to do. The new slow street at Stony Brook is the latest culmination in our efforts. It's a concept shaped by our community here. Residents worked alongside the transportation department for a couple of years. It was a great collaboration. As you can see, there's a speed hump behind us. The speed limit's lowered to 20 miles per hour. We're going to add raised crossings and street markings, and that's part of our process that we're going to do in the entire city of Boston by painting all of our markings across the city. All these efforts are to reduce speed in our neighborhoods and enhance safety for pedestrians and cyclists. It's also going to help us significantly make a difference of quality of life on our different streets. And over the course of the next 5 years, we're investing $709 million in improving our transportation system here in the city of Boston. We're going to implement safer streets. We're going to create more reliable and predictable transportation, and we're going to increase transportation access for our residents. We're also going to work with the state on making sure that our public transportation is more reliable so people feel good about it, and that's something we have to do. We also have to look at the future of our public transportation system as well. It's not just about building out a new infrastructure, it's also about building out a clean, energy efficient infrastructure down the road so we can adapt to changes as well. So I want to thank you for being here today. This is all part of our Vision Zero plan to get to zero fatalities. I have to say this, in the last 2 years, I start my morning every day with talking to Commissioner Evans about what happened in the city the night before. And 2 years ago, my first call in Boston was a homicide. It was somebody that was killed, a pedestrian killed, actually a bicyclist killed on a bicycle on New Year's Day. Last year, my first call came, I think it was on the 2nd of January. It was a pedestrian killed again. It wasn't the homicides that people generally hear about in the paper. We have to continue to reduce the risks of crashes on our streets and keep everyone in harm's way, keeps everyone from harm's way. And again, I want to thank the community here for your input. I want to thank you for being part of this conversation, and I look forward to taking this model right here and taking it throughout the entire city of Boston and every neighborhood. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Clearly, none of this would be possible without Mayor Walsh's leadership and support in giving us the tools to put these interventions into the ground. It also wouldn't be possible without the support from our neighborhood groups. They guide us and they lead us in many ways and design interventions with us. So we work hand in hand with them to cut the ribbon today. And I'd like to bring up one of your colleagues in the neighborhood to tell you more about the process and why it's so important what we're doing out here. Danielle Cerny, Stony Brook Steering Committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all of our elected officials who are here. You have all been incredibly important advocates for the neighborhood, above and beyond just this project. So again, I'm Danielle Cerny. I am one of the steering committee members for the Stony Brook Neighborhood Association, but I think more importantly, I live here. I live 2 streets over, now past the 3rd speed hump. And I am admittedly a relatively new member of this community. So I am really able to stand here today celebrating this ribbon cutting because of all of the hard work that my neighbors have done on this issue well before I moved to the neighborhood. And I can tell you already that is not the first time I have had the privilege of saying that. I am sure it will not be the last time either. That though really is a big reason why my husband and I moved here. We were looking for that kind of community. looking for somewhere where we could plant our roots and start a family. And that's why, for me personally, this initiative is so important, and why I'm so grateful for all the work that the city has done to make sure that our streets are safe. I mean, this neighborhood is so beautifully positioned with the parks and the pond, and as we grow, we want to make sure that we're doing so in a way that really encourages all of us and our children or our future children to take advantage of everything that the neighborhood has to offer and to be able to feel safe while it is that we're doing that. So thank you again for helping with the Slow Streets initiative, and thank you to my neighbors who have been working on this for so long. I know we are all eager to keep working with the city so that we can learn from and expand on this initial pilot. Thank you.
Thank you. The first thing is I'm told that we don't actually have a ribbon to cut, but I have something better, our chief of streets. So maybe we can all, take a picture by the speed hump later, but I'd like to bring up Chris Osgood, our chief of streets. He has provided incredible leadership throughout this process and throughout Go Boston 2030, Imagine Boston 2030, chief of streets for transportation and public works. And without his support and unwavering commitment to the goals of Go Boston 2030 and Vision Zero and so many of the other programs that are literally groundbreaking, and that, the pun is intended, would not be possible without his leadership. Chris Osgood.
That was very too kind. Gina, thank you so much. And Danielle, thank you very much for your remarks and your collaboration. First and foremost, today is really about the collaboration between the community and the city to do exactly what Danielle said, to figure out how do we make our streets feel like home for every single person that lives here, a community that each of us wants to raise our family in, and really feel like it's the place that you can each be proud of and be pleased to come home to. It's that reason why we've lowered the speed limit to 20 miles per hour. It's that reason why we're putting in 11 speed humps. It's that reason why we're putting in new markings that make it better for cyclists or for cars or for pedestrians. And it's that reason why when you enter this neighborhood now, you're going to be given visual cues to know that you're entering into a neighborhood slow streets area. But I will say that as much as today is really about the impact that we are trying to have on these blocks, it is really about a change across the city, a change that we're looking at on our streets everywhere. A change that's really being led by the mayor and led by the commissioner to figure out how we calm speeds, how we reduce crashes, how we save lives, how we make our streets work for everybody. That's really core to what we do. That is the reason why, as the mayor said, that we lowered the default speed limit to 25 miles per hour. It's the reason the mayor signed on to be a Vision Zero city, to be a city that was committed to eliminating roadway fatalities in Boston. A reason why we are working with and listening to groups like Stony Brook, and in response creating programs like the Neighborhood Slow Streets program. And as Gina said, putting millions of dollars of the capital budget into projects like this and trying out things that are relatively new for us and will be impactful across the city, things like speed humps and flex posts across the city. And what has been great is that this has been a fantastic collaboration. I just want to give some credit to the terrific city team that's been working on this. First and foremost, Commissioner Fiandaca, who's been leading this from the Transportation Department, and our Director of Transportation Planning and Policy, Vineet Gupta, who couldn't be here today. We were saved immensely on this project by our great operations team from BTD, Brad Garrett and Willie Dupree. Appropriately, yes. That's right. Thank you, Willie. And we had great work, as always, from our public works side, led by Katie Cho and the construction management group. This was another terrific John Vazella project. Great partnership with Susie and Son and Chris Accardi, who's been leading that effort. And frankly, above all, great credit to Stephanie Seskin, our active transportation director, and Naja Casimir, who works on our team. This program, the Neighborhood Slow Streets program, is as community-driven, as data-informed, as focused on increasing equity, focused on increasing safety, as anything we're doing on our streets today, and that's immense credit to the two of them. Good. And as was noted, this is just the beginning. It is very fitting that on the very day that we are cutting the ribbon or taking a photograph by the speed hump of our first neighborhood slow street. We are also breaking ground on our second neighborhood slow street at the Talbot-Norfolk Triangle in Dorchester. We've already started the 5 neighborhood walks for the next 5 neighborhood slow streets. In 2018, we'll be opening up applications for the next round after that. So we look forward to all the great work which will happen across the city, and look forward now to inviting all of us to take a photograph in whatever way is safe and appropriate as possible, and to celebrate.
Right on cue, Chris.
Right on cue, exactly. It's perfect. So we'll close the street for a moment, take a photograph, and open up our first neighborhood slow street in the city of Boston. Thank you all.